Do it.
All right, it is 7:03. I'm going to call to order the Wednesday, August 5th meeting of the CCSD59 Board of Education. Miss Eddy is not here tonight, so I'm going to assign Miss Kitzinger as Secretary Pro Tem. If you want to call the roll, please.
Mr. Chesney.
Here.
Mr. Buckler.
Here.
Miss Notini.
Here.
Mrs. Zach.
Present.
Mrs. Kitzinger here. Mr. Johnson.
Here. All right, thank you. Next, we can do our Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't think we had anybody signed up. Does anybody from the audience wish to address the board tonight? Okay, if not, we can move right into our first presentation, or our only presentation, the FY27 tentative budget.
Okay. All right, this feels a little bit like deja vu since we discussed this in the Finance Committee. So this will be a somewhat abridged version of the presentation. So we're presenting the fiscal year 27 tentative budget. Just want to start off right at the beginning to say that what we are proposing is a balanced budget for fiscal year 27. In fact, it's actually a balanced budget with a surplus. And when we go into the presentation, I'll explain like why it's really important that we're showing a surplus for fiscal year 2027. Presenting a balanced budget on an annual basis is part of goal 4 of our strategic plan, stewardship of resources. So we want to present a balanced budget on an annual basis. At the same time, we're also taking a multi-year outlook. So we don't just want to propose a balanced budget for this year. We want to make sure that we are looking at enrollment trends and setting ourselves up for long-term stability. We are presenting a budget that has the resources to meet our student needs and support high-quality instruction and a high-performance culture. And at the same time, we're working to right-size our resource allocation to reduce inefficiencies and eliminate wasteful spending. So we're trying to do both things at the same time. So again, this slide just has at a very high level our operating budget. And you can see that there's an almost $4 million surplus. It's very important that we run a surplus, a large surplus in fiscal year 27. Because we are essentially going to be collecting more than a full year's worth of property taxes in fiscal year 27, and we'll have a much smaller increase as we go into fiscal year 28. So we have to show a surplus this year so that we're prepared to have a balanced budget in fiscal year 28. And again, so this slide just shows the sources of our operating revenue. I think it's well known in this district that property taxes is the most important revenue source and our largest revenue source. It makes up almost 80% of our revenue. And we discussed this in more detail in committee, but I just wanted to highlight the end result. So for fiscal year 27, so it's our property tax revenue is going to increase because our 25 tax extension is higher than we expected due to an influx of new property. We just received our 2025 tax extension, and the amount of new property that we received is a record high. And so our compared to our forecast, we're receiving $2 million more property tax revenue than we were expecting to receive, which is great news for the district. Normally, that extra revenue would be split evenly between fiscal years 26 and 27, but due to the way that Cook County issues its property taxes, for our district, all of that increase in revenue is going to hit in fiscal year 27. And you're seeing that on this slide here, that we're expecting a $5 million increase in property taxes compared to what we received last year. But when you look ahead to next year, we're only going to receive a $1 million increase. And that's what we have to plan for, that we're essentially receiving more property tax revenue in 27 than we really should be. And if we just start spending and feel like this is great, we spend all this money, we are really setting ourselves up for a very tough budget for fiscal year 28. So we want to avoid that, and so that's why, again, we're proposing a budget with a significant surplus this year so that we're prepared for fiscal year 28.
And I know we're going to have at Higgins and Arlington Heights Road, all the condominiums that are going in there. And I know that will probably be part of your revenue, I would assume, the projections for the property tax.
Well, so we have, so we know that there's $111 million of new property this year. We really don't know what the source of that new property is. Like we don't have that information yet from the county. So what you just described, that may be part of what contributed to that increase, or that may be coming later. So we're trying to get that information, but right now we don't have it. Okay. So for our other revenue sources, I'll just quickly kind of go through the other revenue that we rely on. The main point here, though, is that we're using conservative estimates, and because we want to make sure that we're presenting a balanced budget, not with kind of pie in the sky estimates that we're hoping that will hit, but we're using conservative estimates that we know that we're going to be able to achieve. So our CPPRT revenue, that's an important revenue source for the district. It's gone up and down in recent years. Last year we collected $6.8 million of CPPRT revenue. We're projecting a decrease this year because it's based on state corporate income taxes, and we think that we're just taking a negative view of the economy right now and thinking that those collections may decrease. For investment income, we are projecting $3 million. That's less than what we budgeted for this year. Again, we want it to be a conservative estimate. School meals, same as what we've collected this year. School fees, we're continuing, we're fortunate that we're in a position that we don't have to balance our budget by charging school fees, and we're continuing to do that in fiscal year 27. For our state revenue, evidence-based funding doesn't really grow because we're a tier 4 district. If it increases, that increase will be less than $10,000. Transportation revenue is a really important one. We're budgeting only $2.1 million, so 20% reduction, and we're doing that because it's based on our prior year expenses, which we know went down last year as we consolidated routes. Also, the state has been underfunding categorical expenses like transportation. So every year they prorate the amount that we get, and that proration gets worse and worse, and so we're expecting that that's going to continue. Same thing with our orphanage revenue. We're projecting less than last year for private facilities and orphanage because the proration may very likely go down. And then early childhood funding is flat. And then finally, for federal revenue, we either know the amounts that we're going to collect, like for our title funding and for IDEA, or we're doing conservative estimates, like especially with Medicaid, where we're basing it on the low, our low actuals over the last 3 to 5 years. Just turning quickly to operating expenditures, this pie chart shows how our budget breaks down by object code. It's no surprise that salary and benefits accounts for more than 75% of our expenditures. Some of the key points for expenditures, we have made a net reduction in positions, even as we've increased positions for new classrooms that we've opened at some of our schools going into fiscal year 27. And we've done that by just, evaluating as positions open up, as positions are vacated due to resignations or retirements, the district leadership will evaluate whether that position is needed, if we're able to reclaim it, because it was a para position for a SPED student that had a one-on-one need, and that student has moved on to a different school district, for example. Or, enrollment has gone down at a school and we can consolidate classrooms while still having low enrollment. So we've taken those opportunities throughout the year to make reductions. And so we do have a net decrease in positions going into fiscal year 27, even as we've opened new positions for new needs. And then benefit costs is a big increase this year. There's medical, I think every school district and every business is dealing with increasing medical costs. We are no different, and we expect that to continue in future years, that healthcare costs will grow at 3 or 4 times the rate of inflation. And for non-personnel, we have made a strategic effort to reduce spending. So every department was tasked with looking for, kind of combing through their budget and looking for spending that was not necessary, not aligned to their goals. And so, we have been able to reduce our non-personnel expenses. And so even as we're presenting a balanced budget with a surplus, we're also trying to be responsible and make sure that all of the spending that we are doing, is to meet the needs of our students and align with our goals.
Sorry to interrupt, but I know that's something Dr. Golini, when he got here, that was one of the first things he looked at, the 80-10-10 model. So I think the community and the board, we really appreciate you looking at our expenditures and making sure that everything's spent wisely. So thank you.
Yeah. So just a few other points. So transportation services. So we do have a new contract this year with higher rates. So we have budgeted more for transportation than we've spent in fiscal year 26. We have been able to offset some of those increases by reducing the number of routes that we have. And so last year we had to consolidate routes out of necessity. This year we were able to consolidate routes just more strategically. And so we believe that we have an optimal number of routes now that we can do without having buses being overcrowded.
Greg, can I just ask about the additional routes? If they're consolidated, does that mean that there's a longer time potentially spent on the bus?
Well, we looked at that. So, we looked at routes that had more than 50 students on them, where potentially they'd have to go, students would have to sit 3 to a seat, or that where the bus route would be really long. But that really isn't the case. We've tried to make sure that the number of students assigned to a bus isn't too long, and that the routes aren't long. Even some of our routes that have the most number of students, they often have the fewest stops. It could just be it stops at 3 apartment complexes and picks up a load of a bunch of students, and then 5 minutes later it's at the school. So correct. So, but we did go through each route to make sure that what we were doing was reasonable. When we felt like this is going to be a long route with a lot of students on it, we have added a few routes to kind of split that up. One last point about expenditures. So there are times where we make multi-year purchases. So an example for this year is that we're purchasing laptops for all of our staff members. It's about a $1 million investment. This is something that you don't do every year. You do it every 5 years. Last year we bought new devices for all of our students. That was an even bigger investment. We don't have another example of these sort of large multi-year purchases are curriculum adoptions. We don't have any curriculum adoptions this year, but we know that they're coming in fiscal year 28 and 29 and ongoing. So we do expect there to be larger, these kinds of investments in curriculum and technology coming up in future years than we have in fiscal year 27. So another reason why it's important for us to show a surplus this year is that we're going to have increased investments to make in future years. Just a few more slides. So on the capital budget, we have a relatively small capital budget plan for this year. We're factoring in parking lot redesigns at 2 of our schools. We will be completing a long-range facility plan this year, and then using that to kind of plan out our next capital investments. And then finally, this slide just shows our operating and total budget broken down by fund. What I'll point out here is that while we're showing a surplus overall, we are showing deficits in some of our funds, O&M, transportation, and IMRF and Social Security. That's actually by design. Our fund balances are larger in those funds compared with the education fund. And I think in 2 of those funds, our fund balance is over 100% of what we spend. So we're deliberately trying to bring down the fund balance so that all of our funds have relatively the same percentage fund balance. And that, I believe, that is the presentation on the budget. You've asked questions along the way, but I'll be happy to answer any other ones that you might have.
Very small one. Sometimes I
Sure.
hear from parents, and often they're talking about capital projects like playgrounds. Is that something that we have to cover 100% in our capital fund, or is that something that is also kind of shared with the municipalities?
So I believe there are 3 schools that have playgrounds that we own and pay for. And then our other schools, like the schools are next to parks where the playgrounds are owned by the park district.
For example, like Bird right now, Roosevelt Park is getting one total revamp. That's paid for by Elk Grove, and that's covered under Elk Grove's budget, not the district's budget.
I believe so.
Correct.
Okay.
It is, as well as Rupley.
Okay.
I do think we share in those costs when it's on Park District property. I think there's a co-shared agreement. Historically, I believe we do share in those costs when even if it's Park District property, we share in those costs. I think if we check the budget on that, I know they're just about finished with that one, but historically we've partnered with the local municipality, however you say that word. And
So it's an
do
agreement
that
with
together.
the
Yes.
district and the municipality
Yes.
too. Okay.
Yes.
And then, so just for my own knowledge, what are the 3 schools that we totally own the parks? Those are our parks.
I should
You
know
can get
that,
back
but
to
I
me.
don't
It's
know
not-
that.
Claremont, I want to say Claremont,
I think Forest View is one.
Forest View, and probably, Brentwood now, after we actually purchased that property, so it might be 4.
John Jay?
Let me check for sure. And then I'll
Okay.
get back to you. Yeah.
No rush. And then things like if there's like a swing that needs a chain replaced, that can be covered under like O&M.
That would just be,
Okay.
under the O&M budget.
While we're talking about this, can I just ask if there's some kind of schedule of when our playgrounds get an overhaul, or, because I think some schools that have, had one, and I'm sure if there's like a maintenance assessment, or that doesn't need to be part of long-range planning, right? Like a playground overhaul.
I believe it's part of the long range facilities. I think
It
it's a
is?
tab on there. I
Oh,
believe it is,
okay.
right. But we can examine them. I mean, there's only a few, if we need
Okay.
to advance.
I
that,
think
we
some of
can.
our schools have been put on hold, and I don't, if we could fix one over a summer,
Sure.
Mhm.
it probably
Yeah.
wouldn't take that long.
I think it really depends on how big of an overhaul we're talking about. Like when we were doing a whole new playground, one of the schools, can't remember the name right now. Like it was part of the plan. But if you're talking about like fixing up because I don't know one piece of equipment is completely outdated and
Yeah.
potentially dangerous, that's a different story.
Okay, I think John Jay is due for, there was a plan to, I don't know
I
if Tom,
believe
there
there was a plan,
and
but
it got
then
put on
once the
hold.
mobiles came into place, I think that was put on hold because I think at Brentwood, the playground was replaced and then the renovation came in and had to be replaced again. So a decision was made to hold until the long-range plan was totally played out, so we didn't spend money and then have to replace things, especially at John Jay. If
Mhm.
there's a future plan, we wouldn't want to replace it twice. Great question.
I know the Elk Grove Park District, about every 10 to 12 years, they've told me is when they look at replacing their equipment. and parts.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. We can move on to Dr. Galini's monthly updates.
All right. Rachel, you're driving here? Okay. Well, first, I would just like to say thanks for everyone that is here. Our principals, assistant principals, and DEA. We can go to the next slide. I get to launch the exciting part, which is to welcome, this year will be the kickoff of the class of 2040. And when I say that, I can't believe it. So those students entering pre-K 4 at ELC and Ridge will graduate high school in the year 2040, which is truly amazing. And those students entering kindergarten this year will graduate in 2039. So it's unbelievable. It's very exciting, but at the same time, from a school district and planning perspective, we feel and understand the gravity of adjusting our instructional model as we head toward that year, and double down on what our commitment was to families in the community, and that's fully aligned to our strategic plan. So it's both exciting and also a call for us to be working on our foundational skills, because there's no research that I can find that says that kids in the year 2040 don't need to be strong readers and writers and mathematicians, but also at the same time looking to innovate and to see where we can improve our instructional programs. It's been a very, very busy summer. I'd say very busy for those that were here. And we recently concluded a 3-session leadership retreat where we normed with all of the Ad Center, all of our principals, all of our assistant principals as they came back from summer break around our strategic plan. And as we mentioned earlier, we wanted to be very intentional about launching this strategic plan as soon as everyone came back, so that it was truly a real and living document that we constantly reference. And I mean, even today, you've heard it mentioned as Greg gave his presentation about the budget. And so we hold it true, and it's central to the work that we will do as we rise to be our goal of being the destination #1 district around. And the idea is that our principals will turnkey that information with the strategic plan with teachers as they return for professional development. Aside from curriculum instruction, talk about that a little bit in a moment, I have to give a shout out to people who are often our unsung heroes, which are our facilities and maintenance team. They have worked truly an unbelievable amount this summer. The first 2 pictures I will tell you were taken from this past Saturday when I popped into Rupley on Saturday morning, and the team was there just making sure that those hallways were bright and beautiful for students as they enter. We did some parking lot resurfacing across the district here and at the Ad Center as well. And just a lot of new flooring projects as we're replacing a lot of the old VCT tile with new and upgraded flooring, which requires much less maintenance, doesn't need to be stripped, waxed. It just needs a mop and some shine, and they're much better floors. And so this was one of our classrooms, and Juliet Lowe got a lot of flooring, and so that work has happened underway. Also, we did some safety upgrades. This is John Jay, the last 2 pictures. There is, if you've ever been there, there was literally open access from the main drive right into that portable classroom that you see there. And while we had barriers up, you could easily breach that area with a vehicle or walk. And so we did put a safety fence up there. But this is just work that has been happening across the district. And we've walked every campus multiple times, and they're just about there, ready to open and welcome staff members and students in the coming days. So very pleased at that group. I wanted to touch base. We had shared early some preliminary test score data that came back, but recently we got some more from IAR. They delivered the district evidence statement analysis, which in essence is a kind of like an item analysis of standards where the schools in the district are doing well, where we're really winning, where some areas where we need to double down. And we have that data right now at a district level, and our data team is going through and creating reports for principals so that they can access and understand that information more easily. And what the data is telling us from my very first glance at it is that every grade 3 to 8, we're right on track with prioritizing writing as was one of our priorities, and the evidence showed that every grade across the district that was an area. And I think if you look at our instruction on the whole, if we know that IAR is one data set, it's an important one. It's part of our accountability system, and writing is nearly 50% of the exam. And so if you were to look at a typical ELA classroom, English Language Arts, typically, by the way, curricular programs are designed, writing isn't really representative of 50% of the day. So we're looking at better preparing our students so that they're writing not just in English Language Arts, but in social science, in math across the day. And so we'll be doing some more work this year with just quick jots, quick writing to get students to feel more comfortable writing, and also introducing more opportunities for students to participate in short constructed response, and also extended constructed response. Here in Illinois, it's called prose constructed response, but it's a longer type writing exercise. And we are implementing some curricular shifts this year, which we've shared in our curriculum docs with teachers and with principals. And the overarching theme here is that support, grace, and modeling, right? And so we understand that as we expect people to try something different, we have to pair that with a level of support. And so, and also grace. Things take time. And Dr. Robinson and her team have introduced a phase-in approach, but I'll be speaking with everyone, which I'm really excited about, at our convocation. I have everybody right in front of me, and you can hear things directly from me, not from word of mouth, but just that we're here to support our teachers, and we're here to make sure that they have all of the barriers removed so that they can focus on the good work. I will say, our principals and assistant principals we've worked with this year, and we have this summer rather, and we are really leaning into them to serve as instructional leaders in their building as well, in addition to district coaches and district level supports, so that they can provide direct support to teachers. And most principals do anyway, but we did some intentional work around what that looks like, and that the role of the principal and the role of the assistant principal is that of support. Yes, there's an element of evaluation, but if we really want to support teachers, if we really want to support practice, I speak about this all of the time, you leave the computer in your room, you roll up your sleeves, and you go in and you help those teachers. And so that's the only way we're going to grow our practice, improve our outcomes, and support the people that are really central to the work, the ones that are doing the heavy lift every day. So that commitment will hold true. And as soon as I can get in front of everybody, I will message that broadly. But I'm extremely proud of our teachers and their commitment as they ended the school year. There was truly learning going on up until the very last day of school. And not many districts, you see that. We can jump to the next page. So I talked briefly about this. Is the strategic plan has already launched. It was approved by the board, launched, and based off the strategic plan, individual principals looked at their data. They conducted a needs assessment for their campus, and they have come up with their own campus action plans, which are tied to the strategic plan. So, for example, goal 1 of our strategic plan is high quality instruction. And so for the principal of one school, they've internalized the data, they've gone through a needs assessment, and what are the key actions that they need to do to improve outcomes for students on their individual campus. So for example, it could be to improve culture, to improve intervention time, to improve the quality of instruction in math or English Language Arts. Principals have that preliminary IAR data already, and so they're leading with that in mind, as well as end of year iReady data and other assessments that they have. So this was designed to be a fairly simple exercise for principals. They took it very seriously, I will tell you, and have every campus now has an action plan that has been approved, has been vetted, and is in alignment with the strategic plan. So we're all in the boat rowing in the same direction, I think, which is a huge win for our district. Principals have designed 2 key actions, and the third is a uniform key action across the district, and that is to improve the quality of instruction for students with IEPs. And that is because very clearly the data told us that that is an area that that every school needs to focus on. And if we made that a uniform goal, then our ed services department and our student services department could take on what that support looks like, and as we cascade that down to the campus. So the whole district will be working on improving outcomes for students with IEPs, both in our self-contained classrooms and students in the mainstream receiving related services. So we're excited to launch support for that and to see the outcomes for our most vulnerable kids. So we have had one campus that this is a picture of a student from Ridge that has already opened, and opened very successfully. I'd say I was there for opening day. It was there last week, and the team has been out to the campus several times, and the principal and assistant principal are sitting here. So they are by default, by calendar design, they are the test for how things are going, and we recalibrate based on the feedback that we receive from them. So we have received some feedback from Ridge, and as a district that is, look, we are embracing continuous improvement, and that's expected by everyone, including our district and our employees here at the Ed Center. And we'll get it right, and it will require some tweaking and adjusting and learning, just as we give grace to our principals and our teachers. We give grace to our team as well. We're in this for the long haul. This is not a one-year phase in. This is a 5-year strategic plan. And so I was at Rupley today, where some of our teachers came back for some early professional development, and I was very clear that, hey, if you make mistakes and fall down, we're going to laugh about it, we're going to get up, and we're going to high five each other, and we're going to try it again. And so there should never be any apprehension. My hope is that in folks trying new things, because we know that our data says that we've got to try some different things. We've got great teachers. We've got great principals. We've got great resources. We're looking more at the execution and the delivery of services and what that looks like, and providing support for that. And so, Ridge, we have heard you, and we are making adjustments in real time, and we will make sure that we get it right for all of our campuses. So we always thank you for your feedback. Also,
Wait, before you move on, can I ask you about enrollment at Ridge real quick? About a hard stop. Is there a hard stop date for?
There is, but it's not yet. So it's not the first couple of weeks. So Tom and I spoke about this when we had a student enroll. There comes a point in time where the calendars are off. It's not now.
Okay.
So the first couple of weeks we will continue to enroll. We have to look at the calendar. That will probably come to a close soon, because then we'll just be off with a number of days and hours in session.
Okay. How do we get that information out to families before enrollment begins, so that they understand I can enroll from this time to this time? Like, this is how long I have to make a decision going forward.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's feedback that we can take and we can push out broadly through our communications team, department, and website as well.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm relieved to hear this about Ridge. I think that you have such a great opportunity there to sort of see how this sort of edited methodology is going to roll out in a small sample size before it gets 14x in 8 days. I guess my question is how are we, how is the district providing then services, if we're talking about the district as the admin building as a service center, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are we deploying resources to then support those teachers who are kind of like the guinea pigs in the first out over the next 8 days?
Yeah, It's a great question. So one of the pieces that we've talked about is this year being very intentional about support going, and we message this to our principals. So support will come to you, right? So the first piece that we've implemented this year is almost every member from my cabinet, our assistant superintendents, serve as accountability partners for a principal. So they are the coach of that principal, and they are there to support them so that they can support the teachers. And so what that looks like is, rather than a principal historically, I'm not speaking about this district, I'm just speaking broadly, where managers and making sure things are being implemented, we want to move that role to a more instructional focused person. So if a teacher needs support, they could get that support from their principal. With regard to the Ad Center, the accountability partner will be on campus at least once a week for multiple hours. That was by design, supporting and coaching the principal. That work, I think, Principal Doles can tell you, has already started at Ridge and will with the other schools. Also, our coaches have been out to schools. For example, we're implementing a new instructional model, right? So we anticipate lots of challenges as people figure that out and get their feet wet. Like I said, it's totally okay to struggle with that. It's brand new, right? That's how learning is. We're doing a fishbowl lesson at Ridge this Friday where one of our coaches is teaching. We're freeing up some of the teachers, and they'll observe that lesson and speak about that. So I think it's really one of support going there and seeing few people and few cars here, because those people are out on campuses helping and supporting schools in real time. The next slide, thank you very much, is here are some very important dates. So if anyone is watching and there's been any ambiguity about, my hope is that there isn't, because we've been intentional about our communication, but staff return on August 10th for campus-based professional development and room setup. August 11th is our half-day institute day, either morning or afternoon, and we'll have our convocation, which we're very excited about. And that is, I think, needed at a time of transition with new leadership in the district, where we get to get in front of everybody as much as we can, because we're pretty large. We actually have to do it in 2 sessions, but where we can get in front of as many people as possible and just send one message. And so that's really important to me as the superintendent, because often things can become a game of telephone, right? And we joked about it earlier at one of our schools with the Washington, D.C. trip, where, someone said, oh, I canceled the Washington, D.C. trip. I didn't even know we went to Washington, D.C. So there is a lot of misinformation in the world, as we know. And so this is an opportunity just for me to stand in front of everyone, both share, where we're going as a district, but also to affirm what support and my commitment to the employees of this district means. And that's what I'm very excited to do on the 11th. August 12th, campuses will continue with campus-based PD and room setup, getting everything ready for the first day of school, which is Thursday, August 13th for grades 1 to 8. Friday for kindergartners, and then Monday, August 17th at pre-K, ELC and Ridge, though ELC is having a family day where students can come to school with their families on Friday, August 14th. But busing and true instruction will start on Monday, August 17th for pre-K. Transportation was a big topic last year, and we have been, along with Greg and his team, extremely diligent about doing everything that we can to get that right this year. And so there would be little inconvenience on parents. So transportation routes will be available in Skyward tomorrow. The Ridge transportation has started already, and the team has been watching on the screen and helping and support. I literally pulled over to the side of the road and saw a parent waiting and said, how's busing? And she said, oh, pretty good. And then the bus pulled up. So it's been a much smoother launch thus far, and we're constantly communicating with the bus company with Durham to ensure that we're in good shape.
I don't know who this question is for. When will there be, I remember Durham indicating that they have some kind of like app or tracking system similar to Here Comes the Bus. When will that be available?
Greg, if it's coming, am I right?
Yeah, parents really appreciate that. And two, if we could, I know this is a new contract, if we could next year have that available for the start of Ridge, that would be much appreciated because this is the second year in a row that they have not been able to track the bus until the start day for everybody. So for the future.
Yeah, I think when Durham came to present, I don't know if that was originally part of they were just launching to figure out what that looks like. So we can connect with them and we can update our transportation page. I will say for any parent that has questions or anything about transportation, we have updated the transportation page on the District 59 website. And so it's much more comprehensive, easier to read, as well as our nutrition page as well. So direct families to look in Skyward tomorrow for those routes. And if there are any questions that arise, on our website gives really all of the one-stop places to go to find that information. Also, teacher assignments are already available in Skyward now, so families should be able to access that information. And first day of school communication has gone out to all families already. It's been pushed via email from principals last week, with some sending multiple communications to families, and we've asked that they do another push before the first day of school. But if anyone watching or anyone has any questions pertaining to their specific school supplies, anything that they may have missed, feel free to call the main office or call the Ad Center directly.
Can I speak up on that?
Sure.
I love Parent Square already. It is like you can tell them when you want to be told things, and I need like a constant reminder or I'm gonna forget. And adding the calendar was phenomenal because it was like one click and then you have all the information.
Yeah, it was
it's
a
great.
good purchase. I get it too. So
Yeah.
from two schools, and then it sends you a little recap at night at the end of the day, which is really good. And it's very easy to sign up. So if anyone is apprehensive about this is going to take me an hour to do, it's very quick, and the information is streamlined, one-stop shopping, especially if you have kids at multiple schools. It's nice, and it does send you a nice recap at the end of the day. So that phase-in has started, and thanks to our communications team for that. Also, back by popular demand, we're going to relaunch the PTO FTO President's Council in District 59. Katie from our Student Services is going to lead that work. And what we're really going to do is, and I've spoken with a couple PTO presidents already and the FTO president at Ridge, it's going to be a meeting of the minds where we bring everyone together, bounce ideas off of each other. Hey, how do you run that book fair? What's a great way to engage parents in our community and in our schools? And so we're excited to launch that in September. Will be our first meeting, and we'll push communication out about that through Parent Square. And so those are my updates. I'm going to turn it over to Tom, but any questions thus far from anything
Just on that PTO President's Council, I'm so glad that's coming back. When I was a PTO officer, it was on its tail end. It was on its way out. I went to one or two, and then it kind of ended. So really glad to see that. And just wondered if, and I know it's being planned, but I wondered if the district administration was going to provide maybe some infrastructure, like shared infrastructure that the PTOs could use, like share, like maybe best practices for information on how to put on a fun run or a holiday shop. Just like, could we help them? Just with infrastructure we already have. To say, here, PTOs, you can log into this and share your information. Was that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the general idea of bringing it back, is to just so that because we have all of these schools that are all working through and navigating through the same challenges and problems. And so by bringing people together, that's exactly what we want to do, is to develop, here's a structure for this, or here's how you get parents involved in a community fundraiser, or whatever it is. That's the idea of bringing that back.
Sure. Would love to, if there's a chance for board members to contribute, because I think many of us are or were PTO members.
I'm honestly sad I'm missing it. I'm really sad I'm missing it.
We need to get back in there to
I think it
remember
would be
it.
great if they had like a shared folder or something, just that they could pop in, like the contact for such and such we used for the fun run, or the, just so they have that information.
Absolutely. And vendors,
And
like this
yeah,
is
like
who we use
vendors,
for our
yeah.
spiritware. Like it's
Yes.
just, why not? Like, sure.
Yeah.
Technology is great that way.
Mhm.
So yeah, just, and I could talk to Katie too, but
Yeah,
just those
for
are
sure.
some things that I always, and we did like try to find each other, but it would be nice if it was right there.
Yeah, and we're going to have right here, we're going to start with a luncheon and just get to know each other and start to share ideas. And we'll build out what that structure looks like with the team before they get here.
I appreciate
So you
that.
can
They-
be guest speakers if you'd like.
They're
Yes.
wonderful because they support our kids in a way that's like just so extra, and they've contributed so much of their time and energy. And so it's wonderful. that they're gonna get to
Absolutely.
be
And
together.
I think technology has only made it, easier
Yeah.
to kind of reach people. So
Yeah.
Great
And
idea.
then they won't feel so alone, because some PTOs are so small. Some have a lot of support and some really don't. So hopefully it helps them.
And that would be great to have it all in one spot, especially when you have a new PTA member. Like, wait, which parent did this? And trying to contact them. And if it's in one spot, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we could build that over time, because I've seen that over the years too, where new parents come in and they're like, well, how do we do this event? And who did we contact? And not everyone knows. So that
Right.
would be great.
yeah, how to do the bylaws. We really need help with that.
That's annoying. One thing before I forget that was not on your recap. I just want to make sure that we don't forget about the teachers and staff and everybody who went to Harvard, so that we can hopefully get like, are you on the way to giving
I
us a
don't want you
presentation about that?
Well, you can't spoil a surprise I've got in store, but no, I can touch base on that. So we had some additional grant money and specifically earmarked for professional development, and we were very lucky enough to send. Tom, how many people was
I
it?
believe
Was it
13
about 13
principals and
principals and assistant principals to Harvard this summer. And they participated in 2 different sessions, one on specifically designed around organizational culture and school culture. And, that's really where all the work starts, right? And another focused on, I believe it was academics and school design and what have you. But I've gone several times in when I worked in New York City, and it was unbelievable experience. And not only the learning, but just the networking. I mean, as a principal, I was sitting next to a principal from Tasmania, and she was struggling with the same problems, getting kids to school on time as I was. And just the networking and I feel that we have a stellar staff, and our commitment should be to provide a world-class professional development. And I'm looking to expand that. That shouldn't just stop with assistant principals, right? That should that level of high-quality professional development should trickle down to everyone that works in our district. So always looking for opportunities to expand that to our teachers, our teacher leaders, our ad center staff, and everybody deserves strong professional development. And we're very lucky that we use grant money to fund that. So they enjoyed it.
Sorry, I was
good
wrong.
for
It's
that.
15.
15. Okay.
Do you know the breakdown of principals versus APs?
He does. He has a spreadsheet for it, I'm sure.
Give me 1 second. Four APs and the rest principals.
But the feedback that we got was that they truly enjoyed it. Okay. I'm going to turn it over to Tom, who will talk about our family and community partnerships and some other important pieces.
Yeah, we'll kick it off with goal 3, family and community partnerships. So as you may be aware, across all of our communities, we partner with local park districts where they offer before and after school programming. Some are in school, some are at local park district places. Here in Elk Grove, actually 4 of our 5 schools offer programming. Unfortunately, Rupley has not been able to offer programming the last few years, really kind of post-COVID. And as the summer started to roll around, we heard from a couple new families who reached out to say, they were hoping that something was there, but fortunately for the district, we have open enrollment. So they were requesting, if I can't go to Rupley, can I go to another school? Dr. Gleany then encouraged me to, hey, connect with the Park District. Let's reach out. So we partnered with the communications office. We reached out to all Rupley families to make sure they were aware of the program, to see if there was interest. We heard back from about 30 families who said maybe. And the ones who, so to make it work, reaching out to the Park District, they need 8 full-time families. That means Monday through Friday, AM, PM, just to make it cost effective, which makes sense. We reached out to about a dozen families who seemed to have an interest. Right now, we're at about 7 families, only 2 that are looking at full-time. So working with the Park District and transportation, we shifted our focus to where we're going to actually transport kids to and from Bird, because Bird has a program, and just make it a bus stop. So parents will drop kids at Bird in the morning. We'll make that the first stop of a Rupley route. They'll drop kids at Rupley, and then at the end of the day, kids will get on a bus, and the last stop will be at Bird, and then parents will pick them up there. So while it's not at Rupley, the reality is we'll have that opportunity is there for families. And the best piece, those families that were going to go to another school can stay and be at their boundary school at Rupley. So, and hopefully it'll generate some interest and awareness. Principal McConnell, has been putting information in her back to school newsletter. She'll talk about it at her back to school pieces and kind of build back up. Hey, this is an option out there. Maybe in a few years or next year, it'll be an option back at Rupley as a piece there. But it's been nice to work with the Park District. They absolutely want to run a program there, but they need to make that work. And transportation right away got on it, and we're at 7 families, and it's actually this week we've added 2 families. We're at 5. Now we're at 7. Hopefully it'll keep growing. So it's really been a great piece.
Can I just ask a question? So we're at 7, we need 8. And
We're at 7, only 2 are full-time Monday through Friday, AM, PM.
Oh, okay.
Like one's Wednesday, one's a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So we're not close to the 8 they need to be Monday, Wednesday, to pay full time to make it work for every day.
I just have a general question, just about, Illinois law. Can we fund the cost of the before and after school care? Does it? I mean, I'm assuming that parents pay for that
Parents
service.
do pay for that.
Do we
service.
have the, can we fund the cost of before and school after care? Do we have that within our, budget or laws? I don't know if we know the answer, but I just wonder if we could decide.
I'll jump in. I mean, a school district can fund whatever kind of programs they want. I think a taxpayer would say, so you're going to pay for 8 families to have before and after school programming. And when my kids were here, I had to pay for that myself.
Well, we can always evolve and get better.
I understand.
That's just ripping on my long list
Dr.
that I
Gleany,
gave to Brett at one point.
Dr. Gleany, didn't you tell me in Houston, they had school was like 7 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to note though is that we're not that far away. We need a handful of kids, and so while this is a plan to support the families of Rupley, as enrollment increases, and we know that it is, and we just are opening, as I had mentioned earlier, we're opening another section because there has been an enrollment increase. But as families enroll and as Principal McConnell reaches out and continues to reach out for after school, if that number increases and we hit that threshold, then we can. We also want to be, I think, mindful of the relationship that we have with the Park District and with after school. But it is something that a school could do. To answer your question, yes.
Yeah, I just think it may be long term something to explore, because if we surveyed families, I would be very interested to see if there may be families that don't utilize before and after, but are taking a certain job because they don't want, they don't feel they have good options, or they don't want their kids on the bus to the recplex, which I know is what happens at Frost and some schools. Especially I think other schools, and I guess I did sort of know the answer. I thought that other schools or other districts might be doing this.
Mhm.
But I think, yeah, Tom answered that question, that we can do it. Just something for the board to consider, if we, especially with our community, that might just really make all the difference if they knew that there was on-site childcare before and after school.
Yeah. Well, I think in this case, this was after direct, parent request. And so we did send a survey to the whole community at Rupley. And, we were hoping we'd be at that threshold. We're not. And so, but we did make a commitment to arrange after school programming for those students. But I think it's something that we can continue to look at, broadly as the school year kicks off and how our programs are running.
Excellent. So moving on to accountability and assessment. Really, this is under goal 1. We're not quite, well, let's go right there. Thanks, Rachel. That's okay. I think last month we talked about IAR results, and we wanted to publicly share the ISA results. These are the science results, which we received recently a couple weeks ago. And this is a 5th and 8th grade assessment. As you can see, for our overall, we actually had a really nice increase. Our results went up by 8.6 percentage points. Our 5th grade results went up by over 7 percentage points, and our 8th grade results went up 10.1 percentage points. 13 out of 14 schools increased, and actually 8 of the schools actually had double-digit increases. And all of our demographic groups saw an increase. So we really saw a positive increase across the board with science, which is exciting because while it's science, it's also very reading intensive and everything that goes with that. And it's been nice to see our results really across the board on the state exams showing positive increases. And we're excited to see what will come with that. I think to Dr. Galini's point, as we focus on writing across the board, we should really see some positive impacts on state testing moving forward.
Why do you think it's been so successful? Like what's made the double-digit gain?
I think really the focus on a standardized curriculum across the board and training into that curriculum. I'll look to Dr. Robinson. She can add to that, but I know we've really focused and zeroed in on that piece. And I think when you have a focus and you train into it and our teachers are committed to that, I think it shows the impact.
Yeah, in our elementary schools, we've increased science instruction over the past few years. So we know that's had an impact. And also we've had a lot of focus on the CER, claim evidence reasoning, writing in science. And I know our coordinator for science and social science, Ann Fleming, has been out to school buildings over the past 2 years to meet with 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade science teachers to really share the importance of the ISA and what's on it. So I think all of those things have had a good impact.
It's interesting that there's like quite a dip from 24 to 25. And then, do we know anything about the dip in 25?
That's an excellent question. I'm glad you pointed that out. So in that year, the state actually recalibrated the testing. They did the same for math and for reading. And math and reading, they actually lowered the bar for proficiency. For science, they raised the bar for proficiency. So they made it harder to be proficient. That's why you see that change. So
did the bar change at all for 26?
It did not.
That was my question.
It did not. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And follow up to that one, do we know when we will know the Illinois average?
Yeah, that's the important number we're waiting for. It's probably going to be a couple months before we have that.
We won't find out really until the official data comes out at the end of October.
Okay.
Is science still embedded in the reading curriculum until middle school?
It's integrated in the reading curriculum, and we also have added standalone science units to ensure that we're covering all of the science standards in grades 3 through 5. So the teachers will see more week-long science mini units this year embedded throughout.
Can I ask when that changed in general? Like there used to be science periods. I saw it actually change while my kids were in District 59, where they originally had like a science period, and then it just went to almost nothing or nothing. How did it come to be that it ever the idea that it's just embedded in another subject?
So most curricular resources currently, just because of research and best practices in literacy, integrate content, so science and social science, into the literacy, because we know building knowledge around those topics creates better comprehenders, right? So if I understand a concept, then I can read more about it and I can write more about it. And so embedding science and social science with reading and writing is kind of where everyone has been going the past 5 years. So all of the literacy resources that we reviewed at the adoption period had these integrated units. Once we adopted those, we realized we wanted to add even more science to that. So that's why we included more science mini units this past year.
So my question is, I understand that it's embedded just because that's a good idea, but was it intended to replace the standalone science and social studies curriculum? Or is that a decision that we made or the state of Illinois made?
No, it's a decision that we made just because we wanted to align. So we didn't want students to be learning about plants and animals during their literacy unit and then learning about organisms or some other standalone issue in science class. So we brought them together. So, but we do and have always implemented, we have a science resource, K-8. Right now that's STEM scopes. We're in the review process, but we have added always STEM scopes units or STEM scopes lessons into our literacy curriculum to beef it up and to make sure we're hitting those science standards.
Okay, thank you.
So the other item, thank you, Rachel. Just want to quickly talk about the formative assessment platform. So I think we've heard a little bit about this before, but this is something we're moving forward with as a district as we focus on assessing really classroom instruction. We've the last few years talked a lot about, you've heard me talk awesomely about beginning of the year, middle of year, end of year assessments. And we really haven't had a lot of really direct formative assessments. So that's a big part of the work we'll do this year. This platform will really allow teachers to teach and assess and see how kids do immediately and adjust instruction immediately in the classroom that day. So last spring, we had 5 schools, about 30 teachers, pilot a couple different programs, and they ultimately chose the program. It's called Formative, and that's something where we'll have these, they're called DOLs, but it's basically an exit ticket where kids every day, in a sense, will take an assessment, and we'll see how they did on that lesson and that instruction. It'll also be part of our more bigger common assessments, thank you, and really allow us as a district to see how kids do across the district, across grade levels, across instructional levels of really instruction that's happening in classrooms, not these more broadly pieced. They're standards based, very connected, but it's a big move for us and connected to high quality instruction and really about how we can accelerate instruction in the classroom.
Are these the same DOLs that they're using? This is what you're talking about, right? That you're using in between the
No,
first?
right. No, we haven't launched. We're not launching this intentionally now because we're phasing it in. So this is the actual platform. Right now, they're using a Google Doc or Google Form.
Okay.
And so we didn't want to introduce too much all at once. So this will come a couple weeks after school starts. And so what it does is it gives the teacher a dashboard. So as teach a lesson, they ask them a couple of questions. As soon as they hit enter, it tells the teacher in real time how the student did. So if they were to pull, historically, they would pull a small group, same type thing, which we're calling a second teach. It's no different, but it tells you who actually didn't do well on that objective that day, and so that a student actually gets another at bat that day before the period ends.
I had another question. Hold on.
I'm going to jump in. What do you
Please
think?
do.
When you launch that platform and they start using,
Which grade levels are going to do it?
which grade levels are going to be doing
So we're starting with grades 3 through 8. Because that's where our accountability tells us that we need to do the most work, and we will assess K2, in another phase. I don't see a world where that would be in K1 right now, but potentially second grade we'd have to take a look at, and we'll do that by exploring how this launches in the classrooms
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Do those, so when you launch this platform, are all the DOLs, like for example, in let's say they're in third grade and they're learning multiplication tables times 1, right?
Mhm.
Is everyone's DOL that day across the district the same DOL? Or are the teachers writing their own DOLs?
So it depends. So twice a week in grades 3 to 8, the district is providing the DOL. So the exit ticket, so to speak. So we're giving that to the teacher, and that is a 5-question check for understanding how well did the students do on the learning objective that day. On the other days, the teachers have the autonomy to create their own DOL, and they can use whatever format they like. So maybe they don't want 5 questions. Maybe they're assessing, we're doing multiplication and they want to do a quick couple whiteboards. Hey, like, who got it? Practices that teachers are doing already, but that every lesson ends with some type of quick check for understanding. It's common practice in our math program already. It is just will now live in other subjects as well. And what the purpose of that is, so the teacher has the information. So who actually needs the reteach? And so if a student mastered that learning objective that day, they don't need to sit for that reteach. They can move on to something else. They can read a book. They can do an extension activity. But so that we're responding that day in real time. And so often how this data is used is an exit ticket is given at the end of the period. We know that X number of students didn't pass, and the next day we're teaching something else, and we don't ever get a chance to come back to it. So it's really an embedded catch model in tier 1 instruction. So it helps students get another bite at the apple before the period ends. And the great part of formative was that it provided the teachers that information when they piloted it in real time as soon as the student hit enter. And so we're starting in third grade with that.
Are is that just information for the teacher to then do the reteach, or is that going to be collected by the district, that data that for like, let's say the 2 questions that the district is pushing out?
The 2 days a week? Yeah.
Is basically, like, is the district doing anything with that data, or is that data solely for the teacher?
Well, the data is for the teacher. We have access to the data, and theoretically, it could help us. It could help the principal design professional development, or this is an area we're not doing well at. But the data is for the teacher because they're the ones that are implementing the second teach, the reteach of the lesson. And as a district, I think which is important is that aside from 3 times a year iReady data, we had no way of knowing how students were doing, right? So and I had mentioned this before, if you were to ask me when I got here in March, hey, how are kids doing in math across the district? I couldn't tell you other than we had iReady data from December. And while the different curricular programs that are used in the schools come with assessments, end of unit assessments, module assessments, a variety of different assessments, they weren't consistently being used across the district. So some schools were using them, some teachers were using them, and so it didn't allow us to know how our students were doing. And so we really went into IAR kind of hoping for the best and just relying on that our teachers did that heavy lift of preparing them, but we really didn't know how kids were doing at any given time. But the short answer is it's really for the teacher that's who's in your group, right? So, and then they also have the autonomy to make their own decisions as teachers. So if I have an English learner who maybe did well on today's objective, but I want them to sit because I think they could still use another bite at the apple, that's at the discretion of the teacher.
So the DOL doesn't have to be this formal, get on the computer, do your thing. It could be a whiteboard answer.
So yeah, so K2, absolutely, right? So we're not expecting kindergartners to get on the computer and enter things, right? In 3rd through 8th grade, twice a week it's done on the computer. The other days it's entirely up to the teacher.
Those are the days I'm talking about. I'm sorry, when the teacher is making their own DOL.
Yeah, that's
they
up to
can
them.
use their whiteboard or whatever it is.
Yeah, and we've given guidance to teachers in our documents already, and also the IT department created a gem in Gemini. So if teachers want to use technology to help create their own, they could do that. Or it could be as simple as, let me do a quick check for understanding. Again, these are practices I think teachers are doing anyway. We're just stamping that you're going to use that information to do your reteach.
Right.
Well, historically, what we called your small group
So I'm just like Googling really quick this formative platform. So when they're on here, can they save whatever they make for a DOL and use it again next year? Like if they're like, oh, this question was good and I got a lot of great feedback from the kids or whatever. I mean, is this like a platform where they can keep and organize?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we liked it. And also, they don't have to use formative on the days when they're created. They can do anything that they want. But formative it has banks of questions. It has places where they can create their own quizzes and assessments there.
Yeah, and the district's creating all of those 2 days a week. The district, the staff are doing all of that for staff.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, let's jump to the last piece on professional learning. While not Harvard, at the same time, we do offer a lot of opportunities in the district. As Dr. Galini already mentioned, next week, Monday and Wednesday, our building leaders will be offering training and professional learning for their staff focused on high quality instruction, high performance culture, and safety. They've really worked hard as groups, spent a lot of time together, principal cluster groups, preparing their decks, preparing their work to really focus in on the work, have a lot of consistency. They've shared a lot of that work with us. Been really impressed with their planning and preparation. It's really going to be some great work next week. Then, as we already mentioned, on Tuesday in the morning and afternoon, we'll have a half day of professional learning. Really, just about every group in the district will have some training or opportunities to collaborate and plan together across the group. Our special ed staff, actually, we have rented out the Meridian. It's over in Rolling Meadows. The entire special ed staff will come together so they can work together as a staff in the morning as a certified group, in the afternoon as a ESP group. So really great opportunities across the board. And then finally, just about finishing up our summer professional learning series. We have 3 sessions left. We've had 37 so far, over 700 attendees, and over 300 staff have attended at least one session. So another successful summer where staff are giving up their time to come in and learn and grow. And that is it for me, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Robinson.
All right. So for the curriculum instruction department, as you are well aware, we are preparing and to launch our, goal 1 from our strategic plan is up on high quality instruction. So we are planning and preparing for our opening institute days. We've got sessions for all of our teachers, K-8. EC is doing something a little bit different on the morning of the 11th, but K-8 will be really digging into what does high quality instruction look like? What is our instructional model in District 59? And then reviewing the curriculum documents to show teachers where exactly all of these elements live within the curriculum maps. So really planning and preparing for that. And I'd like to shout out my team for all of their hard work on that. We also have job alikes for our non-classroom teachers. And as Tom mentioned, those specials and electives teachers and the interventionists. How does high quality instruction look within their programs and within their classrooms? So a lot of preparation for that. We also have, of course, our ongoing curriculum development. So we have launched Unit 1s across the board and are digging into refining from Unit 1, gathering feedback from Ridge and anyone we can on how things are going with Unit 1 so that we can get even better with our Unit 2 development. We have, of course, a large group of teachers and coaches along with our curriculum coordinators who are working on that curriculum alignment and common assessment development. And then we're looking forward to convening a common assessment review committee in the fall. That will entail a group of teachers and staff who will review our work and give us feedback on how our common assessments are going, just to keep the work high level, high quality, make sure things are aligned. And so they will it'll be bringing together kind of a cross-functional team so that we can get a wide perspective of different members of our community so that we can really continuously refine and evaluate our common assessments as we're developing those. And then we've been thrilled to have students and staff back at Ridge. Our team has been giving some support to our teachers as they have dug into these new models. I know our curriculum coordinators have been out working with the principal and also with teams of teachers. And as Dr. Galini already mentioned, Alyssa Coker, our literacy coordinator, is scheduled to go out on Friday and is very excited to model a literacy lesson where teachers will be able to see that in action. And of course, we have more of those planned to come in the future just to support our teachers. And again, support and grace. We're giving ourselves and our teachers a lot of grace and support as we build into this.
And I think this is wonderful that Ridge is in session and they can try these things and share the feedback. I'm so glad that we were able to keep Ridge a year-round school. So thank you to those board members that fought for that were on the board. So I thank you.
Dr. Robinson, can you just explain what Ms. Coker is going to do? Like, are all staff going to, participate in that, or?
So at this time, she is going to teach a fifth grade lesson in one of the fifth grade classrooms. She's going to teach the lesson that the teacher was going to teach on Friday. So she's collaborated and made sure she's not going to do something inauthentic. She's doing the lesson that's going to be taught on Friday. And all of our third, fourth, and fifth grade Ridge teachers are going to be able to see that. And so we'll do another session later on for our K2 and get those primary teachers together as well. But we thought, let's start with intermediate, because that's where we are seeing some need to make some adjustments with the time constraints there.
And then there'll be time for questions and interaction after?
Yep, we will embed that in
Okay.
and work with Mrs. Doles to determine how and when we can meet with PLCs and talk through those things. But yes, that will be, definitely a debrief is important because you just go to see it. And if you're not debriefing it, you're not really internalizing what you learned.
And I think-
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just
No.
going to ask if you're going to do that in every school.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. And so as you're rolling out anything, we are embracing a show, not tell, the philosophy. So in professional development, you're telling and you're right. But when you're really in the school and you're modeling and showing, that's how this really comes together. So there will obviously be a lot of questions but as you're rolling out anything new, right? That's why we talk about the word grace, is that we expect there to be challenges, and as we're embracing new things, because the data tells us that we need to do some things differently. We need to, and we're prepared to show what that looks like and model that, as well as the campus action plans that I talked about earlier. Truly, the principals have outlined the work that they're going to do to support their teachers as well, and in everybody's plan for principal and assistant principal, the expectation is that they are supporting, they're showing as well, they're modeling, they're helping them plan, and we're there to help the principals do that work as well with our coaches, and we're all learning this together. And so we're not expecting anyone to knock it out of the park day one. I'm sure there are people that will. The gradual release model actually has been used in a number of classrooms in the district already, but as we launch that and with some engagement strategies, we understand it's a process, right? And it happens in phases. And but we do know that we're in it for the long haul, and we're confident that everyone can do better every day, right? And that's really the sentiment we're leading with this year.
All right, Ross.
Great job, Nicole. Good evening, everyone. Tonight's HR update comes to you by high-level focus area goal 4, workforce stability. I'm very excited to share that we are ready for the start of the school year. We have onboarded all of our new employees from all job groups, whether that was through group sessions or individual sessions, so that all of their paperwork is completed. They know all the ins and outs of the behind the curtain piece of their contract, their payroll, things like that. And it's also our first touch point in welcoming them to the district and showing them how excited we are that they're joining our team. Our Director of Human Resources, Caltrina Arroyo, leads all of that work, and it has been phenomenal. We have also done all of that work with our new subs, compliance items, that is supported by multiple districts, so we are in really good shape. But the highlight update for me to share is the 3-day orientation that we had this week, starting on Monday, with our new teachers. That's part of our new educator network. And for the last 3 days, they have been here learning about who we are, our mission, our priorities, our systems and resources, our structures, but also just feeling welcomed and connected to our resources. We are rich in resources, but sometimes that can be overwhelming. So we circled up a huge team of department personnel, a retiree, the DEA, an incredible group to really welcome this team. And I have to give some thank yous. Dr. Galini was there presenting in front of this group, which was fantastic. The entire cabinet was there, department leaders, the DEA. John and Ann were there today presenting and providing lunch. Ann Spangler, retiree from 59 and also a representative on the Education Foundation. She welcomed the new teachers and shared her story. Our theme was Your Story Starts Here. We had mentor teams, both certified and ESP members, come out and have lunch with the new teachers. And I also have to give a tremendous thanks to our two facilitators of the NEN, which is Kate Ganatis and Julie Lannert, who ran the whole show. Incredible. And they are there and dedicated throughout the entire year to ensure their success and the pipelines that feed these wonderful hires to the district. So, and also hats off to all of our hiring managers. There are a lot of hiring managers in the audience tonight. Boy, did they do a good job. This group was great. So I'll share just a little more. Rachel, can you try the next slide and see if the picture works? This was it's like a summer camp pic. This was today. So they were fed, they got swag, and we did a DOL. We did a little exit ticket, and the results were pretty great. Did you feel welcomed and connected? 100% of the participants felt that. And do you feel you have an understanding of our priorities, expectations, and available resources as a district? And 100% felt mostly to fully in that place, which is terrific. In this group, we have an ESP staff member who has become a teacher. We have multiple student teachers who we have hired to be teachers. And we have former students in there. And actually, one of them was a kindergartner when I was a principal at Claremont. I know, it's horrible and wonderful at the same time. But you can just, I think, see in this picture the excitement that this group has for starting their career here or starting the next chapter of their career here. We're very excited. And I'm so thankful for the Ed Center staff, all of our mentor team members, our principals, everyone. And also hats off to Ryan. Thanks for stopping by and giving a welcome from the board. That meant a lot as well. So nice job, 59.
Okay, communication. So in spirit of goal 3 of the strategic plan, family and community partnerships, we did officially launch our new mass communications platform, Parent Square, last week, which is really exciting. As of this afternoon, there have been over 2,700 accounts activated. So we are going to continue pushing families to activate their accounts if they have not done so already. So if you are listening, we encourage you to activate your account so you can see all of the communications from district and school level and eventually teacher level in one place. And we will continue to push activation emails and reminders via our newsletters and social media as the year continues. On that note, we will have a presence at the back to school events this Friday and Saturday. So there will be a Parent Square table. Brandon and I will be there to assist families to sign up or navigate their accounts if they need assistance. And we'll have a Spanish translator with us to further connect with our families. Convocation is next Tuesday, August 11th. As you have heard from Dr. Galini, we're really excited. The committee that is putting this together, we have been hard at work to plan everything and get it ready. So I know that Michelle from the board will be attending the afternoon session, which is from 12 to 3. If there are any other board members who would like to attend, please let me know. Nicole, got it? That's great. So I will put you down. We just wanted to make sure we had numbers for tables and whatnot. It is at the Belvedere. So just 5 minutes down the road. Yes. Well, I'll make sure all the information is in the board weekly. Yes, it will be at the Belvedere, so just down the road, super close. And lastly, social media. We are continuing to connect with our families in the community through many posts on Facebook and Instagram. So you've probably seen our Meet the Admin series that will continue for the next week or so. That's just an introduction to our principals and assistant principals in a really fun way. And then we are less than 10 days away from the start of the school year for our traditional calendar. So we've been doing a big 10-day back to school countdown. There's some really fun videos. I encourage you to check them out if you haven't yet. And we have some cool ones coming up too. So thank you to everyone who's participated in those and Brandon for all his work on putting our videos together. I will pass it to Danny.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. All right, so we are hosting our back to school events this week. Super excited about that. There'll be 2 back to school events. At these events, there'll be 3,000 prepared backpacks being given away to our community and our family members and our students. There will be 40 community agencies present. Our community outreach teams and other district staff worked really hard preparing these backpacks, actually right here at the Ed Center in the warehouse, filling them with school supplies. The first event will be this Friday, August 7th at John Jay from 11 to 1. And the second one will be at Oasis on the 8th from 11 to 1 p.m. These events historically have been super successful, large turnouts, and it's just an exciting opportunity for our families to gear up and our students to gear up before the school year kicks off. Dr. Galini touched on this during his report, but we are reconvening the President's Council for PTO. The President's Council will begin in September. This council allows PTO presidents to share ideas, receive updates from our superintendents and district staff. The PTO presidents can expect these invites coming shortly after the school year starts. And we are really, really excited that our SRO team is now fully staffed with representation from all of our municipalities. We have Officer Diaz, who is with the Elk Grove Police Department, who will primarily serve our Elk Grove elementary schools, and Officer Gian with the Des Plaines Police Department, who will primarily serve at Friendship Junior High, but also will be a presence at Brentwood and Devonshire. Again, really excited about this because with the growth of our program, it's a key component of our district's strategic plan. Supports Goal 1, high quality instruction, because this just contributes to the overall safety and security of our districts, allows our educators to focus on high quality instruction and our students to focus on learning. And then for sure, it contributes to Goal 3, family and community partnerships. Our SROs are direct links to our communities and our families. They provide valuable resources that maybe we don't have within the district. So having those direct links, just those direct points of contacts is a wonderful resource and really excited. I know our Des Plaines schools are really excited to finally have an SRO and that direct point of contact.
Have we seen an IGA from Des Plaines?
So the IGA from Des Plaines, Des Plaines, I spoke directly with Chief Anderson, their chief of police. They were working on 3 IGAs this summer with different school districts. So some of them were prolonged. So Chief mentioned to me that he still plans, Officer Gian will still be there day 1 with the intention of the IGA going next month, September.
That concludes our updates. Yes.
Thank you. So we can move on to our consent agenda. I have item 6.01 through 6.06. If I could have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Get a second.
I'll second.
Second, any questions?
Yes, since I wasn't here, can we remove the approval of the minutes as a separate vote?
What, is there something wrong with the minutes?
I wasn't there, so I cannot vote yes for it.
Oh, you can, you can abstain. You can abstain. Do you want to abstain from it all?
No problem.
Okay. All right. Roll call, yeah.
Okay. Mrs. Zach?
Aye.
Nikki, Eddie? Absent.
Absent.
Do I have to say her name?
You don't have to say.
Okay. Ms. Skitzinger? Yes. Aye. TR Johnson?
Aye.
And Mr. Chesney?
Abstain.
Mr. Buckler?
Aye.
Mrs. Notini?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Next, we have 7.01, the approval of the IGA, the SRO agreement with Elk Grove Village. If I could get a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Moved in second. Any questions? Now if we could have a vote.
Mrs. Zach,
Aye.
Mrs. Kitzinger, aye. Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Chesney,
Aye.
Mr. Bookler,
Aye.
Mrs. Notini.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. 7.02 is the approval of the IGA with Mount Prospect for an SRO. If you have a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any questions? If not, we can do a vote.
Mrs. Zach,
Aye.
Mrs. Kitzinger, aye. Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Chesney,
Aye.
Mr. Bookler,
Aye.
Mrs. Notini.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We have 7.03, the approval of the web-based evaluation platform Super Eval.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any questions?
Can I just ask how training is going to work with this?
Ben is not here, but Ben
Oh.
will. Yeah,
Oh,
Ben will.
Ben will take care of
yeah,
us.
Ben-
It's to come.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it'll be, there'll be a point person, so probably me with Nicole, and then we'll help everybody figure it out.
And it really is very easy. I mean, I got a chance to use it in SSEO, and
Oh, okay, so we can ask you. No.
sure, why not?
Okay.
Any other questions? Now we can do a vote.
Mrs. Zach,
Aye.
Mrs. Kitzinger, aye. Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Chesney,
Aye.
Mr. Bookler,
Aye.
Mrs. Notini.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. And then last, we have 7.04, need a motion to renew the agreement with the Illinois Energy Consortium.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, moved in second. Any questions? Now we can just say all in favor. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries. That's it for action items. We go 8.0, report of the board committees. I'll start with you. Sure, if you're ready.
I'm kind of ready. I am super looking forward to the back to school events this weekend. I will be attending the John Jay event after my child is done at her orientation at Grove. So I'll probably be a little bit late, but I'll be there. And I'm so excited. I hope to see a lot of our families there. It's such a wonderful event, and the kids are so excited to have backpacks and supplies and get water bottles. I don't know. I assume we're going to have water bottles. We usually have water bottles.
We're switching it up this year.
Oh, it's a surprise. Come check it out. I love it. Okay, good. So, and I also was able to visit Ridge today and observe some K-5 classrooms. It was wonderful. I want to thank all the staff at Ridge, Principal Doles, Assistant Principal Marvuchik, wonderful. And so excited to see them learning already and just diving right in. It was so wonderful. So I just want to wish them all a successful year, along with all of our schools. They're going to start very soon, in like 8 days. We're counting down at my house. So I think that was all I did. Was there anything else? Did we do anything else? No. Great. That was it.
I have no committee updates, but I just want to wish everyone a happy first day of school.
Okay, yeah. I also will be attending a back to school event. I will be at the Oasis Mobile Home Park, and I hope that I can help distribute backpacks. I've asked to do that or whatever's needed. I just want to be an extra set of hands. I don't need a table or anything. I just need to show up and help and meet our families. I'm very excited for that. The other thing I'd like to mention is my favorite event, the Celebration of Cultures, is taking place at the Village of Mount Prospect on August 22nd from 11 to 4. And I'm working directly with Ashley Robertson. We had a nice chat today. So we're working together in lockstep to be present at the event. And we're actually looking to see if they need students to help march in the opening ceremony. I think Dr. Galini, you're going to join us. Yes? Okay. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's right in our backyard. It's at Cott Park, which is near the Recplex and the Friendship Cluster. So very near a lot of our schools. Hope to see a lot of our families there. And it's just really a good time. There's activities, there's food, there's music. It's just a really good time. And also just a shout out to the Holmes Junior High Honor Society. They have offered again to help us at our booth. They really did all the work, and I think they had some fun too. So thank you to Dr. Londorf and the students for offering to help, and hopefully we have a good weather day.
Cool. Thanks for doing that. So as Ross was saying, I had a chance to come to the new educator network, and Keltrina, Julie, and Katie, they did an amazing job with our new teachers. We have a big district, but I think to me it felt really small being there with all the new teachers and making sure that they're aware that they're supported and we're happy to have them. So I thought that was great in terms of goal 2, our high performance culture, creating a great culture for those new teachers. And I know Ross alluded to the survey, so that was awesome. Great job with that. I know one of the teachers said, "Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing from Dr. Galini when he does a strategic plan," and because he's new since March. And I thought, he's new. It seems like you've been here a while, and you even started well before March, before you got here. So, but it was great. And I know Ross came on afterwards, and then you presented Dr. Galini on that Monday. So, thank you for doing that. And we want to retain our talent in here and get them off to a great start. And then the previous Monday, on July 27th, I went to Dr. Galini's leadership retreat that he had with all the principals. He went over the strategic plan. I know you talked a little bit about it for our principles of some of the things that we want to accomplish. I know Dr. Robinson, Dr. Perdomo presented as well, and they showed Wesley, a teacher who did a lesson on food webs and food chains, and it was great. Thank you to Wesley for volunteering. He did a great job and just being able to go over a lesson that way. Dr. Robinson shared with me the scope and sequence that you've been using. You talked a little bit about that Ridge has got to use that. I think that's a great document for our teachers to see, okay, what do I do? Especially if they're new, they can go to that. I know we talked a little bit about that, and I was hoping that maybe we could have like a section for like tidbits for engagement tidbits. So if the teacher's doing a lesson on fractions and mixed numbers and you're introducing that to the students, so like why not have like a fraction hunt where where you have these all different kinds of pieces, like pizza pieces, and the kids have to go through the school and they have to get, one group might get tenths, another, maybe third, kids who might struggle, and then coming and putting those together so they can see like what's a mixed number and what's an improper fraction. Just like our teachers have all these great ideas of like, what's a teacher tidbit that's going to really help get this lesson. Like when Wesley was doing the food webs and food chains, what about using, some stuffed animals, like have a bear, have a fish, just different ways to engage kids. I think that would be a great focus as well. And we've got tons of talented teachers, and I know maybe they've got ideas for lessons like, hey, this is what, really helps my kids learn. So, and then you mentioned we're going to look for feedback from our teachers about the scope and sequence, things that we can do and to improve it, make it better. So really excited about the curriculum that we have going here. Thank you, Dr. Robinson, to you and your team. So, and then again, the Parent Square, I know Dr. Galini and Nicole already mentioned that. Yeah, it was so easy to use. So thank you, Rachel. It's been a great rollout. Thank you. And then, as Dr. Galini said, there will be a Washington, D.C. trip. I know at Grove Junior High, Stephanie Moser is leading that for our 8th graders. So any questions for Grove, I know that, Mr. Alloway, we can go to Mrs. Moser and she'll handle that. So that's all I have. Great job, everyone. Thank you for your hard work. Dr. Galini, that was a terrific session that you led and very, very helpful.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I have very minimal updates since I was actually gone last month from NSSEO. However, Celebrations of Cultures, I look forward to it as well. Last year it was great to see our teachers, our students helping out. I'm hoping we will. I can already hear that we're going to have a lot better turnout from everybody. So I look forward to it this year. I need to check my calendar to make sure it doesn't conflict with my son's therapy in Florida at the same time. But if I'm here, I'll be there. So thank you, Nicole, for leading on that one. Michelle, geez.
I did very little. Rachel and Ashley kind of handled it all. I didn't.
You didn't?
I'm stepping in now, which is great.
And they're giving us a table too.
Yes, no, well, I think that's a given.
Well, thank you very much for doing that. Very much appreciated. And Parent Square, just a quick note, for some reason, when I signed up, the same day I could not log into the CISO, was it? The one that you can see the classes. But it works today, so I guess we are using still both of them.
So my department actually doesn't handle Seesaw, but classroom teachers are still probably going to be using Seesaw as their method of communication if that's how they were using it previously, just until they get to Parent Square, which will be junior high school. Teachers will be able to use that starting in January, and then the remaining of staff will be able to use it starting next school year.
Okay, junior high, January, got it. And it will have also the grades and classes
Yes,
and all.
yes. So once January comes around and we fully implement it across our junior highs, you'll have groups where you'll be able to see the grades and the
Okay.
classrooms that they're in.
Makes more sense. Makes more sense now. Thank you. That's all I can do.
All right, thank you, everyone. If we don't have anything else.
Mm-mm.
All right, we could, I just need a motion to go into closed session for items A through F listed on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Move a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. And when we come out, we'll be done, so everybody can leave.